I want to stop my business in the UK, I'm going to move it to Poland. You're a 21-year-old in Silicon Valley, suddenly getting invited to the Apple headquarters.
His name is Philip. He goes by the name developer Philip.
Listen,
Yeah.
I've never had an English girlfriend.
Damn.
People like when people don't agree.
He shares his amazing story from UK to Silicon Valley, then to Poland.
Losing my father 4 months later, open heart surgery, a lot of recovery. I was kind of out from work as well. UK lacks the type of culture that European cities and European families have. The main reason why I moved to Poland is because you want the real answer or the answer you want the unfiltered answer?
You've been a big YouTuber in UK. You've had millions of views.
I have.
Thousands of subscribers. And now you came back to Poland. You started from scratch, let's say, in the creative marketing scene.
Yep.
Why? Like, someone would ask why. Why did you do that? Because if you had that fame, you had brand deals and everything, but you decided to start from scratch.
Right.
Something like uncharted territory for you. Why?
You want the real answer or the answer? You want the unfiltered answer?
Unfiltered answer.
The main reason why I moved to Poland is because of taxes.
Oh.
Because in the UK, they were basically eating me alive. Being a solo entrepreneur in the UK is pretty difficult, right? It's especially when you're on your own and you're not hiring people, it doesn't make sense. The taxes just overwhelm you too much, and you essentially feel like you're working for the government, right? And not for yourself. So that's the main unfiltered reason why I came back to Poland. But again, being a creator, you're remote, you're everywhere. You don't really have to be in a single particular place. Poland is evolving now, the economy is booming, the tech scene is becoming more prominent. But then again, because of the YouTube and because, I was lucky to be in that space to work with a lot of these brands,
Exactly.
those connections remained. So really, whether I'm in the UK, in Poland, in Bali, Dubai, wherever, wherever I want to go, I can just do the same job. I need my laptop, I need my portable camera, and a mic, and
That's
I'm
all.
good. And I'm
That's
good.
all.
Yeah.
And how much big of a difference we're talking about in taxes
In taxes,
between the UK and Poland?
I think it's important to explain how taxes work so people kind of understand.
Exactly.
We're not going to get too deep into it.
Yeah, but
like
have
just
an idea.
just an idea. So there's two entities in Poland. It's you yourself that gets taxed, and it's the business that also gets taxed.
Okay.
So once you make an income through the business, and it's just you, like you don't have to hire, you aren't hiring people, right? First of all, your business gets taxed at 25%. And then whatever you pay out of the business gets taxed again with your self-assessment and your personal income. So those taxes add up. So it's like business 25%, then it's like 20% myself if I want to pay it out as a check. That's already 45%. Then it's the NHS kind of contribution, and it just adds up. And it essentially you're giving more than half away at one point.
Yeah, and in Poland, how much you're giving?
8.5%.
Wow.
And that's it.
Wow, you see? So it's good to be content creator in Poland.
Poland is a tax haven for content creators.
I didn't know this. Like, till I met you in Warsaw, I didn't know
Yes,
this.
neither did I. It's only when, so my girlfriend, she's also in the influencer space. She does fashion videos. And she got invited to an event in Poland. It was like a closed event for influencers to come and speak together and so on. And she pulled me in there. And one of the lectures that were being given is by a tax advisor who specializes in content creators from Warsaw. And I went to his event and he was like, a lot of people don't know this, but this is where Poland stands with content creation. This is what taxes look like. And you guys should be aware of it because you're in the space and actually you're in a really, really good place. And when I heard this, I was like, oh my God. It's like the light bulbs just popping up. And I was like, oh my God, where have I been? This is my home country.
You're Polish.
Yeah, I'm Polish, and I didn't know about this, and suddenly it proves that what I'm doing, I'm best off just being here, being back home.
Yeah.
And it kind of opened my eyes, and that day caused me to take the decision of, hey, I want to stop my business in the UK. I'm going to move it to Poland. I wanted to move back anyway because my girlfriend is here. My family is going to move back as well, so it just made sense.
And it says at that time, and now it's working.
And now it's working for me. Yeah, it's really good.
And aside from that, what kind of differences you noticed in the way they live, the way life is in the UK, salary-wise, and security, safety, comparison to Poland, and also the US?
Yeah.
Because you spent some time in Silicon Valley.
I did. So UK doesn't have bad salaries. I wouldn't consider them bad salaries, especially if you're working in London. But what's the difference whether you're making 200,000 in the UK when you still have to give half of that away, right? Or even more.
Yeah.
So suddenly you have to look at that perspective. It's not how much you earn, it's how much you earn and how much you have to give back and how much you take home. And then when you compare the UK, for example, with Poland, obviously that's a huge difference. Now, regarding living in the UK, I mean, I loved it for the time I've been there.
How long you've been there?
21 years.
Wow.
So most of my life.
Most of your life.
Most of my life. 29 now, so yeah, left when I was 8. It's just completely different. I mean, culture, obviously food. I feel like I don't want to sound bad, but I feel like UK lacks the type of culture that European cities and European families have, right? Or maybe they don't have these like family oriented like traditional events that they like that they
Understand, like
that they value a lot. It's like very important. The UK doesn't have that, and we've always kept it up at our family, obviously, even being abroad. But I think they lack that culture feel, and I think a lot of the time when people come to Poland, they get to experience a little bit of it, and they're like, oh, this is actually quite nice, like the way people are in Poland, and how they approach their family and the values that they share. So that's a really big difference, and I think that's something that I lacked.
Yeah, because like family values, traditions, they bring people together.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, but in the UK, I feel like multiculturalism didn't work for them that much.
See, the thing is, like a family event in the UK is going to the pub.
No, what's that? Like it's not a family event.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, yeah, we're gonna have roast dinner at the pub on a Sunday and have a pint. Or like, where do you meet with your friends? Oh, you go for pints to the pub, right? And it's not like there isn't anything else apart from that's like their main thing. And yes, it's nice because it's a very English thing, and you get very beautiful pubs in the UK that you can go to and you can experience it. But when you look at the values, it's just not there,
Oh, and do you think it's because of religion? Also, religion plays a role in that?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, most of the people now in the UK, and I'm going to say now, are probably atheist or Protestant. But yeah, I mean, the UK used to be a very, they used to have a lot of Catholics, for example.
Yeah.
And it's just slowly, I think like with all religion everywhere, it's slowly kind of fading away. People kind of lose the values. And I think that's very important. I think it's very important to
have God in
God in your life.
To have a goal, like we talked about, the Maslow hierarchy of needs.
Yeah, yeah.
And in terms of, let's say, dating and in the UK, everyone wants to know this.
Listen,
yeah.
I've never had an English girlfriend.
Damn.
So I think that says a lot.
Yeah. Wow. You've been in the UK for more than 20 years and then? Wow.
Never had an English girlfriend, yeah.
So you always dated Polish women?
No. My first girlfriend was Lithuanian, so very traditional, like very, very, very similar to my tradition. Then when I went to Silicon Valley, I dated a girl who's Indian.
Okay.
And that was actually a really nice and lovely time because obviously I got to experience a different culture and it was cool. But obviously, I was only there for a limited of time. So so obviously that naturally just faded away. And then I moved to Poland and I met my current girlfriend Alice, who obviously is Polish. So yeah, I never dated an English girl. No.
Wow, that's surprising. Yeah. Philip, the developer, didn't.
No.
No. I think people don't know this about you because it's surprising.
They don't.
It's impossible. Like, I can't imagine myself like in Poland.
Yeah,
in Poland,
I know.
you should date Polish girls.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, probability says you should, but no, I just never.
Yeah, I think because you are always looking for traditional values more, not just the girl.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly. And how was your time in Silicon Valley?
Silicon Valley was the best time of my life, for sure. I mean, so a little bit of a backstory. I went to study computer science at the University of Kent. Obviously, there I took a degree. It was called Computer Science with Artificial Intelligence before AI was even a thing.
Yeah, you were.
So I was like the OG.
The OG of AI before AI was known.
Yes, I was the OG. So I was learning about all of that beforehand, before it even became a thing.
Yeah, actually, your first video on YouTube was sending 50K emails to different companies using Python.
Yes, yes.
And now people just use ChatGPT for that.
Yeah.
And you did it with.
I did it, and it worked. We can talk about that in a bit. Part of that kind of cohort of students in general, when you take up computer science, it's a 3-year course in the UK. But you have the option to take a 4-year course if you want between your second and your final year to do a year somewhere at a company to get experience. Like it's called the year in industry, or otherwise known as the sandwich year.
Sandwich, yeah.
So it's like stuffed in between the years. Now, I was lucky enough, I've applied to so many companies, and I think this is important for people to hear. Like, people kind of, when I did all the engineering stuff on YouTube, they're like, oh, you're a great programmer, you're really good at tech. And yes, I was pretty good, but I've applied to so many companies and I got so many rejections. And then I thought, you know what, let me apply to Cisco. And Cisco was the really premium internship because they flew you out to Silicon Valley. They bought your plane tickets, they gave you accommodation for a whole year, they gave you budget for bicycles, and they also gave you like a salary, right, on top of that. And I was like, I'm never gonna get this. I've been rejected by this silly company in Kent. Like, I'm definitely not gonna get this. But you know what? I was like, you never know. And I applied. And then one day I get the email back saying, hey, you got accepted into the internship. Your year starts here and here. Please pass on all the information to us because we're going to start organizing things for you to get you out to the US, like your visa. They sponsored the visa as well, of course. So they did everything associated with that. And funnily enough, I had two best friends at university. And these two best friends ended up applying as well, and they got in. So I ended up going with two other people that I knew really, really well. So obviously that just in general starts the year off great. And the funny thing is that there's only 40 spaces in the world because this internship is only available. It's like open to all the universities in the world, and there's only 40 spaces per year.
And it's once per year.
And it's once per year. So you can imagine how competitive it is.
I know.
And when we arrive, you have people come from Singapore, we have people come from Dubai, we have people come from India, China, Poland as well. So it was a small cohort of people that were from all over the place.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you got in with your friends, and I think you made the first Apple Music
yes
browser.
All right,
Tell me
so
about Music. What the name, man?
No,
it's hard to pronounce. Music.
Listen, and there's a reason why it's called that as well.
Okay.
But being in Silicon Valley, being the young engineers that we wanted to be, like...
How old were you actually?
I just turned 21.
Wow. Silicon Valley.
Yeah, just turned 21. Some of my friends were 20.
That's an accomplishment.
Yeah, we couldn't even go out to pubs because, in the US you have to drink from... You only can drink from the age of 21 or go to clubs. So half of my friends were just out.
Wow.
But yeah, no, went over there when I just turned 21. And as any engineers do, like young guys, we wanna test out Silicon Valley to explore everything. And we just attended a bunch of hackathons, a huge amount of hackathons where we tried out our skills. We were like competitive coding, and there was one hackathon. This was at the GitHub headquarters in Silicon Valley, and the GitHub headquarters. The aim of that task was to create something that's going to impact the world. That was like the theme of the hackathon. With that, we were like, well, what do we build? And just a few days beforehand, the WWDC conference happened at Apple. And what they did is they announced their JavaScript music kits that were open sourced to the public, where people could use and build something with their music infrastructure. And at that point, what Apple does, obviously they're always sneaky, what they do is, in order to be able to use Apple Music at the time, you have to have an Apple device. So suddenly they closed it up to so many people. And we're like, wait, but if they opened up this WebKit that we could use online, we can just create something online that everyone can use without an Apple device. So suddenly it's open to people that are using Android. They can subscribe to Apple Music and use it. And that was like, oh my God, we're onto something here. But it's like, we're probably not going to do anything with it. We ended up writing a prototype in a hackathon that kind of worked, but didn't. We ended up winning the hackathon. Wow. And then we're like, you know what? We're doing this anyway. Let's take it to the end. Let's actually publish something that a lot of people can use. And we were sneaky enough to install YouTube Analytics on the platform, so you could see how many people are actually entering. And we had to keep this an open source project because we decided that when we build it, we're going to make it look exactly like Apple. And you can probably insert it on the screen to show what it looks like. It was like an identical clone of what you'd get on the iPhone. So we had to open source it so we don't get sued by the Apple legal team.
Exactly.
We also couldn't call it the Apple Music Player. We had to think of something called Musish, and the reason we called it that because it's Apple Music, but a little bit ish.
Ish. Yeah. Ish.
All right, yeah. And we had analytics on this thing. We launched it. We contacted a bunch of Apple publishers, people like 9to5Mac, which are really popular. Or there's another one, Apple to, I don't know, this.
Apple Bytes, I think.
Something like that, yeah. And we reached out to them and we said, hey, we built this, like, do you want to write about it? And they're like, oh my God, yes, of course we will, because it's like, you're suddenly opening up a gap in the market.
Yeah.
And they did. And actually we traveled to New York at that time when we launched it for just like a weekend trip. And what happened is it just blew up. It blew up. Like one publisher wrote about it, another one did, and suddenly we're featured in, I think, 40 countries.
40 countries.
Yes. So all over the world.
What was the reaction of Apple? Did they call you or maybe something like that?
Yeah, well, we had analytics.
Yeah.
And at some point we saw people from Apple, like internal, like you could see it.
Oh.
And it's like one person, the next day 12 people, the next day 45 people. And we're like, what the hell is going on? And then the next day an email came into the inbox. And it was from the guy who runs the WWDC conference. And he was like, hey, we saw what you did. Come meet us at the Apple headquarters, let's talk. Let us buy you dinner, right?
How did it feel?
Oh my God, man.
Oh, gee, man.
Oh my God, man.
Your ego was through the roof.
That was crazy. It felt amazing. It was like, I mean, how else are you supposed to feel? You're a 21-year-old in Silicon Valley, suddenly getting invited to the Apple headquarters by the guy who like appears on stage and he wants to talk to you about how you built it. Wow. Now, the reason for the talk was obviously because they wanted to know how we did it. Yeah. And the reason for that, because over the next 6 months, we reached 400,000 people.
Wow.
Right? So a huge amount of people. We covered the deficit at that point.
It was organic. You didn't do any like ads.
No.
How was discussion like?
We came in, they bought us dinner, we had an informal talk, and they took us into an office and they just asked questions on the infrastructure, how it works, how we managed to get it so fast, what was the idea behind it. And it was them scouting us because to them we were basically putting them in danger of what they wanted to release, because they released the music kit because they had plans to do it themselves, but we just did it so much faster than them.
You beat them.
We beat them. This is why I said we beat Apple Music. We beat Apple to building a music player, because that's exactly what we did. There's no other way to put it. Now, they couldn't do anything because we open sourced it. If we didn't, that email wouldn't have been an invitation to a dinner. Yeah. It would have been a lawsuit.
A lawsuit, yeah.
All right.
That's sneaky.
So yeah, we protected ourselves. We thought about it. We knew it's if anything happens, we gotta blow on the code, right? Mm-hmm. So that's basically what happened. We had a chat and we left. They were happy. They gave us some swag, and that's where it ended. And then 4, 5, maybe 6 months later, they released something of their own, which looked identical to what we've built. Yeah, I think I might have a screenshot somewhere, ours and theirs. I gotta ask my friends.
It's the same thing.
Basically the same thing.
And they didn't try to hire you or something? Because you are good. At that time, without AI,
yeah,
you did something like you are talented guys.
The guy who kind of managed the project, our friend Brocken, he ended up getting a proposition, which I don't think he took up at the time. Now he's some senior engineer at Apple doing some stuff. So he ended up going into that route. He got an entryway. We probably could have, but because we were still studying, they couldn't really. Also, it complicated things because we were on a H-1B visa, so we only had limited stay in the US. So maybe that was the reason why they weren't like fully considering it. But Brocken is now back in Silicon Valley working for Apple.
You're still friends with him?
We don't talk very often. But yes.
That's good, man. And you took a different route. You continued with Cisco, and then you took up content creation on the side.
Yeah, I continued with Cisco. I made my first money in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
And I bought this camera.
Sony A7 III.
I bought the camera. And I thought, I always felt very creative. I always wanted to do something. Mm-hmm. So I was like, you know what, let me try an experiment. I loved coding at that point. I was pretty like hardcore into like web dev. That's kind of the thing I loved, because web dev was very creative, it was very visual. Mm-hmm. So I really enjoyed it. And I was like, let me try and do something that, I can share what I know. I can also teach myself for the tutorials that I'm gonna do and film it as well, so other people benefit. So with the camera, I was like, let me run some videos and try and do something. So I did, and I tried to be like, I was very different with the way I taught, because I tried to be very funky and different and like quirky and just not the typical engineer who sits down and goes, blah, 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 let's code something, blah, blah, blah.
You had your personality and you played to that.
I had my personality and I shared it with them through the coding tutorials. And with that, slowly, for 7 months, nothing happened. I just kept releasing videos as a fun project. And then suddenly I started getting views. One video, the next video, the next video. The next thing you know, I have a video go viral. 2.5 million views, I think now.
The reaction video, I think.
The reaction videos. And the reason I did reaction videos is because there's so many talented people in the world that don't get the acknowledgement that they should.
Yeah.
And I was like, let me show people what others are doing, put these talented engineers in the spotlight, but also inspire more people to understand how creative web development is, because I don't think people realized at that point. So I shared that with the world.
Tell me about the 50K emails you sent using Python at that time.
So that was my first video, right, on YouTube, I think. Yeah. Wow, that was a long time ago. I was learning Python at the time, and I was like, I always liked the idea of swag. And that idea came from, because I came from Silicon Valley. Whenever we went to a conference or like an event, they would give you like this cool swag. And I always loved it, free t-shirts, cool pens, whatever at that point. And I was like, I want more of this, but I'm not at the events. So how can I get these things? And I was like, what if I like email people and ask? And I'm sure they would send me stuff. I'll be like, I'm a fan of the company, maybe you can send me a swag package. But the problem was that I didn't have their email. Not everyone had an email visible on the site at that point. So how do I get it? And I was like, okay, well, I can scrape it, right? And I can use the scraping solution to get all the data. But then some of the data would come back and I wouldn't get it, or the email wouldn't work. So then I'd have to think, okay, I have an email domain. I know it is.
Yeah.
There is an X amount of possibilities that the initial part of the email could be. Hello, welcome, contact, So I had a list of like 30 of them. And I would send an email to every single one. Some people would get like 40 emails because everything just redirected to one email. Some people wouldn't. Anyway, it worked. I got a lot of replies. I think 25 packages came back with swag. I just kept getting packages all the time to the address. So it was a very successful project, and I think that kind of showed me that there is a lot to do with tech and that I want to share more. So I tried to do these initially cool projects at the time.
It was super fun because I've seen the way you look at it.
Yeah.
And how did you manage between working full time at Cisco and content creation?
So I didn't work full time at that point. I was still studying. So once I came back from Silicon Valley, I still had a year to do at university, and then I took up Cisco part-time. So I was doing studying part-time Cisco. Evenings I was doing some YouTube videos. I actually ended up doing my dissertation, so my final project, in collaboration with Cisco, which was really cool.
You had some part of your career as YouTuber, and you were working full time for them as an engineer lead, I think, or
yes, I was always working. I've never just took up content creation on its own. It was always kind of a side thing, more for fun than for it being an actual job. Although at one point, obviously, I got the collaborations that I could have not worked, and just kind of based off the income I had from the collaborations. But a lot of the time, most of the time, I just continued working full time.
Why is that? Did you like the job that much, or just give you something that?
It just gave me something to do. The content creation didn't take a lot of my time at the point. It would be like, I'd get an idea and I'd try to produce a video like every 2 weeks. And then if people wrote back to me, they usually wanted to be part of that video. So I would kind of tailor the video to what their offering was, and I'd present it in the video. But I'd still keep like a 2-week cadence basically of my video releases. So it wasn't, I didn't make a lot of money from it. It wasn't like for a 22-year-old, I was like, hell yeah, I'm like making money.
Yeah.
It wasn't a great amount, so I still had to continue working. Yeah.
When you were working as a content creator, you had to come up with a personal brand. How did you think? How was the process of that? Coming up with developer Philip.
Yeah, so I had to have some kind of a name, and I was a developer at that point. So I was like,
Not very creative.
We're feeling, okay, let's go with it. Not very creative. At that point, I was still experimenting. So that's how the name came along. How did I build my personal brand? I think it's just with time, you kind of, I think sometimes, especially when you're starting, there isn't much sense to rush things. I know now, like everyone's trying to do everything like straight off the bat, and it's like you have to have your whole brand set up for people to like you.
Yeah.
Not always. Like like your brand comes with how you evolve. So you'll see a lot of even companies. They'll like, they'll start with like one logo, suddenly they'll change to another one, then they'll change the name. Like recently with like OpenClaw, Claw Hub, Moldbot, all of that. That guy was changing names like every 2 days.
Every domain.
Yeah. So, the brand evolves with you as a person. And I think the more you kind of mature into what you're doing, then your brand kind of moves with you a little bit. So obviously, at one point I started making a bit of money, so I was like, oh, let me have a cool intro that's animated for the show. And it's always little bits of improvements that you make. And I think those little bits of improvements that you consistently make up your brand and make up who you become to be and how people start to see you. So that's how it naturally evolved. There wasn't any kind of logic behind it. It's just incremental steps that bring you to the overall image, which you might not notice yourself, but others do. And others see you as the brand that you are.
So you mean it's a matter of testing and iterating over?
For sure.
What kind of advice you want to give some, let's say, developers in this like AI age?
In the AI age.
Yeah, because it's so hard, man. Like each week there is something new.
Yeah.
And you should always jump on the bandwagon and do it. What do you think about that? And can you imagine yourself starting over like your personal brand now?
The times got really tough for a lot of people because the amount of things that people can do so quickly now. Beforehand it used to be more of a, hey, let me build something and see where it goes. Now it's like, let me build something and see where it goes, but it's a rat race because there's 20 other people that are doing the same exact thing. So I have to rush, and people rush now. People don't put a lot of thought into things, they just release things and do things, right? Because with AI, things just happen so quickly. Listen, you can't stay on top of what's happening now. It's impossible. And I think people need to start to realize that. Like a lot of people, especially people who are entering the industry, who are engineers, where all of this AI is coming out, you can't be great at all of it. It's impossible to do that. And I think as soon as you realize that, you're going to feel much better about where you're going and what you want to do. Because the people who think, oh, I need to learn this and this and this and this and blah, 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 you're going to overwhelm yourself and you're going to be screwed because you won't know where you're supposed to go. I think it's really about the focus and just persistence into a specific direction where you want to head. So any engineer, I don't know, depending on the direction they want to go to, they have to ask themselves what they like doing the most, and they have to sustain going in that direction, and they have to be persistent. Because if they go one way and the other and try something else, it's good to experiment, but you have to have an end goal in some respect, and you have to move towards it.
So it's always a matter of learning the basics, nothing changed, yeah? But because coding now you can come up with an MVP like in days with ChatGPT, Claude.
So regarding the coding part, the tool is not going to replace you. I think people who think they're going to get fired or whatever if they don't use the tool, it's not going to be the case. It could be, but you have to realize that you have to become someone who knows how to use the tools to not be replaced. And a lot of the people, they're like, oh, I'm just going to continue coding. Those people will get replaced. The people that won't is the ones that say, I need to continue coding, but I need to utilize the tool sets that are available to me to become a better coder. And those people will remain. So you have to remember that the tools shouldn't own you. You should own the tools and know how to use them to be someone that is on top of the whatever the leading industry kind of standard is. I have a friend now who works for a big company. He suddenly occupied a role called an AI engineer, right? And it's not that he doesn't have to know how to do engineering. He has to understand everything. But he is also utilizing like Claude Code to be able to, use it to an extent where suddenly he can do the work of 5 engineers, but he still has to remain the engineer, right? He still has to have that knowledge. So whatever people have learned, the basics, they don't go to waste. You just have to learn a little bit more now with what's prominent, which is using AI tools to be able to be the one that's really good.
Do you think developers need to know how to market themselves? now? No than ever. Because in the past you can just be a developer.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
But now a developer with an edge.
Yeah,
with something.
it's definitely become much harder to like be like the star in the crowd, you know?
Yeah, and what's the key? What's the key to shine?
See, it's such a tough question. It's a really hard one to answer because the requirements now for a specific role become so broad that people I don't think when you go to a company, I don't think their main focus is your engineering skills. I think their main focus now has become how quickly can you adapt to do something that they need.
Oh.
Right? So now I don't think they're going to be like, oh, let's have a look at your CV or your resume. Yeah, you can do this and this and this and this is great. They're more like, show me that you can do some of this. We don't need you to know 100% how to do this, but we want to see that you're able to learn very quickly. And I think that's what makes someone stand out, is showcasing their ability to perform quickly under the circumstances that the company kind of throws onto you.
Is it the thing that you're looking for in a candidate when you need someone for a project now?
Yes. I've realized that I will never find someone that's perfect. I don't think that's the case. It's very hard, even if someone's extremely talented. You know, everyone has a different style of work. Everyone has a different style of how they do things, how they manage a team, how they run a project. So it's very hard to find someone who's going to be like perfect on every single part of what your requirement is. That it will never happen. And I think also being the founder, you need to realize that, right? And once you realize that the people you hire aren't perfect, you'll find it much easier to find great talent because you're not going to be looking for mostly for their skills, but you're going to be looking for the fact that they can adapt to what your requirement is. And you have to also be open to their style, to the way they work. And I think very importantly also is that when you're looking for a specific candidate, you have to be open to them teaching you something. Because as a founder, you're not someone who knows it all. You're very little. Some people are better than you, right? And you have to realize that. And once you realize that, you'll be much more open to the ideas that other people bring to you. And a lot of people aren't. They're stubborn. You know, they'll be like, no, this is how we work and you need to be like this. Very bad.
It's an ego.
It's an ego thing for sure. And a lot of people struggle with it. But you can't. Like, you bring someone else on, they might not be perfect. They have ideas. You need to give them the space to be able to say those ideas, because that's what's going to make your company amazing. And that's kind of the values I look for, and that's also how I try to grow my company. I know people aren't perfect. I can always train people to do great things. I need them to have some kind of fundamentals, right? But that's normal. But you got to give them the space to also pitch back to you, because they can teach you a lot as well. And I think once you realize that, you not only become a great founder, they not only like to work with you, right? But also you give them the space to grow.
It's all about perspective, yeah. And tell me about your company, Mensoi. Mensoi, because you call it Mensoi. I call it Mensoi.
Listen,
so it's also, you're the founder, so
it also sounds nice.
Yeah. Tell me about it. What's special about it? How did you come up with this idea?
Yeah, so Mensoi is my baby. You know, I've always been very entrepreneurial. Even when I was at uni, I was creating little like selling things on eBay and trying to come up with little business ideas and launching a website. At one point, I was selling like my resume template that I made a whole website for, and I actually managed to sell it to a few people and give them guidance on how to structure the resume. So always entrepreneurial at heart, always chasing something. It's my personality. It hasn't left me. I still keep chasing things. And I think it's that persistence, right, of any founder to never stop, but to always kind of continue moving forward. And because of my social media, because of the YouTube, because of doing a lot of those brands with companies, I realized a niche. I realized a lack of people who were great at marketing, but also understood tech. And I think those two things don't go together. With a lot of tech companies now, their marketing teams, these marketing teams are non-technical, right? These people come in, but they don't fully understand the product. I mean, I've worked in companies like that. And vice versa. People who are engineers, they're not very good at marketing. And you can't expect them to be, right? It's a completely different genre of work. So the fact that I really enjoyed engineering, and then I went from being a software engineer, leading a team, to then moving on to developer advocacy, to then moving more into the marketing team, I've realized what the shift is, and I've realized the lack of technical understanding and being able to be very creative and offer out-of-the-box solutions for tech companies. And I was like, wow, this has a great potential. All of these companies now, they're moving on to video, they're moving on to that creative way of marketing, being able to stand out from the crowd, making someone scroll and stop and be like, oh, what are they doing? What are they talking about, right? And most of it now is leading with video. And I was like, well, look, I'm doing video, I'm doing these tech tutorials. It just only makes sense to try something out. And that's the idea I had in my head for a very long time, but I never moved forward. And the reason I didn't move forward is because I was scared. I was like, I've got to leave my job, I've got to make an investment. I don't know if this is going to work. Yes, I've spoken to these companies before, but maybe they might not want to work with me. And it was a stopper. And I think that's perfectly normal. I think people also need to realize that. Being scared, trying to start a new business is completely fine. You don't have to be, the person who's like super confident moving into something. I was petrified. You have to have some kind of budget set up, some security for what happens if everything goes wrong. How am I going to live? You've got bills, you've got things to pay. Anyway, I started the business while I was still working full-time in the evening because I needed the security of actual full-time job, but I also needed time and I wanted to give myself time to grow the business. So
But you also were doing content, or you paused at that time?
I also was doing content.
Wow, 3 things at once.
Yeah, it was a lot at that point. But I went through it and I slowly started to build the idea, build a service offering, build a website, get the designers to do it. I think one important part of starting a business is realizing that you need to outsource a few things. You can't do it all on your own.
What kind of things
So every time when I wanted to start a business, I would have wanted to build the website myself, web developer, wanted to design the whole thing, wanted to write all the copy, wanted to set up the business. It always failed. I never got past like the actual launch phase because I just gave myself way too many things that I couldn't do. And this time I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna do any of that. Even though I do web development, I'm gonna get someone to design my website, and then I'm gonna get someone to build my website. I'm gonna get someone to manage my business, like an accountant to run it, create it, and everything. It worked, right? Because then I could just solely focus on what I want to deliver and the service offering I want to give to others.
So what about the video editing stuff? Yeah, because that's a big deal. So,
well, as part of the business, obviously, I think I didn't even actually mention what Mensoi does. So, we're a creative marketing studio that specializes in creative tech marketing. So the niche is tech. We're tech focused. Anything tech, specifically video led, we're able to do. And obviously, as part of video led, there's a bunch of editing. There's a bunch of work that needs to be done. So we don't just edit. We do the whole creative direction, the ideas, the actual filming if it needs to be, then the post-production, then the marketing of the materials. So what a company can get is end-to-end marketing. So we're like I like to say like a plug-and-play marketing team. When things in-house get too overwhelming, we can kind of come in and just take all of that weight off, because video editing and production is a lot of strain on companies. And the value we can offer is, I'm technical, right? So the content they can give me can be very technical, and we can still film it and produce it, and it's technically accurate. And the people that work with us, they're happy, right? Because you don't have just someone who doesn't know any tech trying to present something, because you instantly know, right? It's very different when you have an engineer talk to the camera, or when you have an engineer do the post-production of something that's technical. And coming back to the editing side, it's very difficult because it just takes up so much time. As you start to scale a company, you get obviously more clients, the clients scale internally, more requirements come along, and suddenly, you're one guy who doesn't have enough hours in the day to do all of it.
It's impossible.
It's impossible. And then you overwork yourself. Then when you overwork yourself, you need to take a day off because you just can't do any more work. Then you fall behind, and it's a constant chase of being able to keep up with things. And it's not even that initially you take on too much, because I was very cautious of that. I didn't want to overwork myself. I didn't want to take on too many clients and be too greedy. But once you even take on 2 or 3 clients and they internally scale, we can't really say no.
Yeah, it's impossible.
Especially that you took them on, they signed a contract, and they're like, hey, we need you to do more things. Can you do it? Well, as a founder, you're not going to say, No. Because then they'll be like, okay, we'll just go to someone else. You know, you got to fight for what you've already achieved. So with these clients, you know, things started to get difficult. And then I was like, okay, I need to start looking for people.
And how do you look for people? So which platform do you look for? Is it in Poland or international?
I look international, although because I moved back to Poland, I want to find people locally. I think it will be really nice to have like a local team of people that can sit together and ideate. I think being creative in that way is much more fun. People also like coming to work.
Yeah.
That's especially what I want to achieve. I want people to want to come to work and like actually enjoy it and also make money from it, obviously. So I want to combine the two things. Hiring people, probably the hardest thing I have ever had to do as a founder.
Exactly.
The hardest thing. First of all, it's so hard because the niche is specific. Like I need someone who edits videos, who understands tech at least a little bit. So it's not like mumble when someone speaks, like they're like, I don't know what this guy is saying. If I'm hiring in Poland, I need people to be somewhat fluent in English. Because if they're not, all of our clients are international. So the English language is like prominent here. So someone needs to obviously speak really good English. Now, tech phrases in English, things start to get difficult. So it's also harder to find someone. In general, very, very difficult. I mean, I don't think I've had a more difficult time trying to find talent than I did. I filtered through so many people. And I think the biggest problem you come across is people say they can do this and this and this. They look great. You give them a project and it's completely opposite. They know nothing, right? And I have a problem because I'm very like open to people and I very quickly get attached. Even when I work with someone, I'm always like, I try to help them and I try to prompt them and see if maybe they can show me, you know, that they have some value. But sometimes people just don't. And the hard decision you have to make as a founder, you need to know where to cut the line. You just need to know when to stop and say, thank you, move on. And I found that difficult at the beginning because I had someone who wanted to try video editing. They didn't do too good. And I was like, okay, I'm going to give them another chance. But they didn't do too good again. And then I was like, oh, what do I do? It wastes a lot of your time, first of all. And you
should follow the saying that hire slow and fire fast.
Yes,
because
exactly.
It costs you money.
Exactly.
And time and headache.
And time is very expensive.
Especially at this level.
So I had to learn to be very fast with filtering for people. I've tried to adjust the strategy as well, you know, something that can prompt me to whether someone can or cannot use something. So I try to be much more specific in the adverts that I post, which I post online, and I'll talk about how I found people initially. But I'm also very fast at firing. Like as soon as I see someone just not do something, like I know from experience when someone can or cannot do something, and as soon as I see someone not do something where they need a really large amount of time of investment into their growth, I just can't accept them. So I say no immediately, and I don't even move forward with them. And that's the hard truth of being a founder. You just got to learn how to do it, and you have to filter through a lot of people. You have to filter through 100 people to maybe find one person, right? That's going to be good. Now, where do I advertise? I mean, it's hard to find editors in general. But UseMe was one of the platforms that was successful for me. So it's UseMe. So it's one of those platforms that allows people to work for you without having a structured company and still be able to invoice you. So they are like the third party that manages like the accounting for them as well.
Stuff, yeah.
Which a lot of companies need, and it makes it easier for them to find freelancers. I tried Fiverr, that didn't work. I've tried posting on Facebook groups that are specialized for video editors. That didn't really work. People tend to be very cocky on Facebook groups. They think they know everything, but they don't. The way you know when someone is good, or at least I've noticed, is you look at how much they charge. And if someone charges like absolute pennies for doing a job that is quite time consuming, you probably can make out that they're probably not like senior. They're like just junior, just starting out. And that I've realized automatically kind of gives me a little bit of a filter of the people I hire. Because for Mensoi, I'm looking for top talent, right? I'm trying to hire people that are going to be able to lead specific projects and be able to kind of understand what's supposed to do and very quickly like jump onto a project. Now you might get scenarios where someone obviously, you know, they don't understand their worth yet. I had that situation in my life as well where, you know, I was pretty good, but I didn't realize that I could charge a lot of money. And other companies, they just kind of make use of you.
Take advantage of you.
Take advantage of you. So I also try to be cautious for those situations. But as my previous CEO said, when you're building a company, if you pay pennies, you're going to get monkeys, right? So if you underpay people, they're not going to perform very well. As soon as you start to reward people and give them a price that they're happy with, that they can, sustain themselves and grow, and give them the space to grow and be happy with the salary, you're going to get really, really great talent that's going to remain with the company, bond with the company, and then make your company grow. So I think that's really important when it comes to hiring people, filtering things, and not having the expectation that you have to underpay everyone. Like you need to invest back in the company, and you need to invest in great people. And you will only invest in great people if you also give them the right budget to work with. Because otherwise then, people know that they're worth a lot. And people know that they're great at, for example, video editor or an engineer, right? So they won't agree,
You should give them the incentive to work with you.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Especially in this time, everyone wants to have like high salary. But
of course, and it's understandable. There's also a limit to it. There's some people that come up with prices that are just unjustifiable, and also those people I tend to be a little cautious of, because they're like, you'll ask for one video to be edited, and they'll be like 4,000 zloty. And it's like, but it's gonna take you like 4 hours to do this. So it's 1,000 zloty per hour. Like, where is this price coming from?
Yeah.
And I don't know. They're just like testing their luck. Maybe they don't want to do the job and they just give you an extortionate price. I don't know. It could be whatever. But that's also an instant indicator.
Let's say someone wants to work with Mensoi.
Yeah.
Can you walk me through the onboarding process, the steps?
Usually, I find that if I jump on a call with someone to explain what we do, it sells a lot better than over email, because I can kind of elaborate and justify things and answer questions very quickly. A lot of people who come and they think they need a creative marketing agency, they don't fully know specifically what they need, right? They're like, we want to market ourselves, but they're like, but we don't know how to do it. And that's kind of the correct approach, is to come to us with that, because that's one of the things we do. So usually when I do a brainstorming session with an initial client that's interested, I'd give them a lot of options of what they can get with us, what we can create, and how the process looks. So they initially get an insight into the offering. They get an insight into, for example, the pricing of how we structure things, how we price things, and that back and forth gives a lot of kind of it clears things up for what the person is looking for. So you have to make the decision for a company. Which is interesting, because you'd think they want to come with you. They'll come with you and say, we want to film a video, but they don't know how to film that video. They don't know what kind of video, and they depend on you to give them your best judgment, and for you to be able to kind of guide them. And I think I'm not sure if a lot of companies do this. I try and be as guiding as possible, because it makes the onboarding much easier. And I think through the guiding, I've managed to be pretty successful with the clients that do come to us, because you're giving them structure. And I think specifically like product managers who will initially reach out, they need that kind of structure. They need A, B, C, D, E, how we're going to go through this process and what the final outcome will be.
I think what you provide also is the clarity on the goal.
For sure, yeah. I mean, people are like, we need creative marketing, but what is it? And it could be all sorts of things. First of all, it's what do you want to market for? Is it like your product? Is it your company? Is it hiring? Do you want to like run testimonials? Do you want to do a product overview video? Do you want to integrate it into some other video? Do you want to put it in your documentation? Do you want to have it on your landing page? And each one of those different videos has a different style of messaging, a different like call to action. There's just so many different things that you have to adjust to. And these people don't know. I mean, I occasionally get, for example, people, I don't know if you've heard of Product Hunt. It's like yeah. So a lot of the time now it's very popular to be on Product Hunt and to do a video that kind of outlines the goal of the company. So they will know that it's a Product Hunt video, so it makes it a little bit easier on us because we know the approach, but they still don't know what they want to show, right? And it's about us to do the creative brainstorming, to go back to them and give them 3, 4, 5 different options of what we could do. They pick one, right? It makes the process easy for them. They pick an idea that they like, then we elaborate on that idea. Then they say the things they like and they don't like through a whole script. And then when it comes to filming, it makes it much easier as well. And it's a really important tactic. I've actually spoken to someone beforehand who runs also a creative marketing agency that works with tech startups. But they're like, when we work with a company, we just give them an idea and they say yes. And then he says, we have so many iterations of changing things that they didn't liked and so on. And it makes the process really difficult for both parties.
How do you deal with that?
So I give them the step-by-step process. I come back with an initial idea of what our offering is. Then we establish of what kind of niche of, for example, video or content they want to go for. Then I write out several ideas. So several things that I can offer them, like when it comes to specific video, like let's show it this way, let's show it that way, let's implement this, and they have a choice. And you narrow down what they specifically want. So when you come to make that final video, most of the time they're pretty happy. And you don't have to change many things, you don't have to reiterate. It's very important to send them a script so they can go through it. They can kind of visualize what you're going to say. A lot of the videos I film, I freestyle, right? Just so it comes out natural, because a lot of people want organic. But I still follow a structure of the script. And as soon as you give a company that, they feel much more confident in working on that video. And also the outcome is usually much better. So a lot of the videos we film, we don't go back and forth reiterating things. It's just like we film one video, they say, oh, can we just change this and this and this, like little things, we adjust it and it's good to go.
Wow,
So it makes the process much easier.
And that speaks volumes of your organization, because I think it took you time to come up with this method, right?
You have to be very organized, yes. Very organized in how you deliver things and how to share information with clients.
And also how you shoot.
Also how you shoot, yeah. It's also very important to be very time sensitive, right?
Because you're paying your creatives to make this stuff.
That's one thing. I mean, also replying to clients, making sure you're staying on top of it, sending them regular updates. You know, these are things that people don't ask for, but they appreciate. It just makes their role a little bit easier and they feel safer with you. You're giving them that safety net of knowing that you're on top of it and you're working on it, and they don't have to keep chasing you. Oh, how's it going? People hate chasing people, because someone who isn't a micromanager, they're going to hate constantly trying to ask you questions. Like, where are you at now? What are you doing? When are you filming this? Like, it's exhausting, you know? So being able to always stay on top of the clients is really important. I've learned from the previous startup, you know, our answer time to clients was 30 seconds, a minute. They send a Slack, someone from the team answers really quickly. And a lot of the time when we did testimonials, people highlighted how amazing it made them feel that they got an answer or clarity so quickly. Even if you don't have the answer, you tell them, hey, listen, I've got your message. Thanks for writing to us. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. But even doing that and letting them know someone is there already looking at something, it gives them peace. And the relationship that you build with clients is extremely important.
I think it's an amazing way to build a relationship with clients, especially for the long run.
Yeah.
Because you don't have only to think about now, okay, I got that money, then buy. No, it's better to build maybe. I think that's how you got so many opportunities or customers, right?
The less overhead you give someone to manage, the more willing they're going to be to come back or to remain with you. It's a fundamental thing that, you know, it just works.
So let's say a company comes to you and they want to shoot a video.
Yeah.
Do you usually like advise on long format, like podcasts, or you specifically ask like to advise about short formats? Because now I see so many people, they give free class on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like there is a guy who gives like 5 hours class on YouTube, and then
how to do things.
And then he puts like between let's say the breaks, he puts an ad for himself. Do you follow this strategy, or you?
No, not necessarily. I think the strategy here is that clients want to pay once for something and be able to repurpose that as well to many platforms, right? And they're willing to pay for the repurposing. I think one thing I've noticed is if you design the content in such a way where you can reuse a lot of the parts and give them from one piece. So, okay, let me put it this way. You have a CEO that films a podcast for a company, and I always recommend podcasts. Their time is super high value. Like they just want 2 hours there and done. And they want to come in, shoot out, and they don't want anything else to do with it. But then they expect that, you know, that main content piece comes out. But as a company, we have to make sure that we plan it in such a way where we can give them much more than that. So it's not just the podcast. If we are structuring and writing the podcast for them, it's going to have very clear sections. And then each one of these sections you can do as a standalone piece, right? It's designed in a way where you can just cut it and reuse it. Then obviously from each piece you can create specific shorts. Then you can post an audio episode and so on to different platforms. There's just so many ways to repurpose something if it's correctly designed. And with a lot of these companies, we make sure that the content that they produce is designed in such a way that we can also repurpose it. So they don't just pay for one thing, they'll end up paying a little bit more for the time we take to repurpose it, but at the end of the day, incrementally, it's actually worth it, right?
So they don't lose time shooting.
They don't lose time. Then they have consistent content throughout the week, so they don't have gaps. And also, we come out of it much better, right? Because we can scale that way. We can upscale our service by repurposing content, by initially giving them the right structure, which they might know of. So realistically, we can record a podcast and then produce like 15, 16 content pieces out of that.
So you always recommend podcasts and then repurpose it through different channels.
Yeah, because I think a podcast is a really valued asset because you get to have the thought leadership, which is the founder, talk about his company. You get very cool guests. If you manage to get really cool guests, also share it. They also give you a very new perspective. You can have a debate, which do great in like repurposing content.
Yeah.
People love the hooks. People love kind of things that are controversial, that don't agree. Like people like when people don't agree. And also when we try to design the scripts, we make sure that we put those things in there. It's all done for a reason. It's to make sure that, you know, people who are listening, they're engaged all the time. There's always something that they're looking forward to. So it's not done just out of the blue. So kind of making the co-founder and the guest have a debate always works amazingly because it brings a lot of traction. Yeah, so there is a bunch of different strategies you follow, but I think giving a company that safety net of giving them all of that knowledge and telling them, hey, you know, we're going to handle it. Give me your CEO for 2 hours, follow this script, you say whatever you want, just make sure to remain with this structure, and then we'll do the rest. And then suddenly they get like 2 weeks of content, right?
I understand. So you give them the guided experience.
Yeah.
And that's what eventually people are paying for.
Yeah.
And being that you worked with so many founders and also you are founder on yourself, what kind of advice you give to new founders or
who are starting out,
what they need?
Do they already have an idea?
If they have an idea, yeah.
I'll tell you where most founders fail.
Okay.
They have an idea, they'll execute it, they'll invest money into it, they'll do it for 3 months, it won't work, and then they'll give up. That's a problem that happens so often.
Happened to me. Yeah, exactly.
And you give up because you don't see results. But a lot of the time, you're not going to see results for months. But I think where founders win, especially the really big guys, the guys who start making absolute millions, is that they're persistent. They're fucking persistent. There's no other way to put this, right?
Always.
You always have to be on top of the game, as in you always have to be chasing what your initial mission was to do, even if it's not working. In the same way, if I started my YouTube and I stopped after 3 months, I wouldn't have any of this.
Nothing.
I pushed through month 4, month 5, month 6, month 7th, and only on month 7th I've started seeing some views, and only then started taking off. The same goes for business. You just have to consistently do something. But the other thing I say is you can't consistently do something that's the same, because then you can go for 2-3 years and nothing will change. You always, every time you try something, you have to try something new, something a little bit better. Change something incrementally. And those little changes is suddenly you're going to get it right.
They will add up in the long run.
Yeah. So you have to learn from those initial mistakes that you make or things that you think are not going right and just adapt. So what I did initially is every month I sat down and I was like, okay, what have I done this month? You know, month 1, nothing. Month 2, I did something. And then I was like, okay, this doesn't work. Let me design a better logo. Let me try and make some videos, right? I started a YouTube channel for the company. Again, see, I mean, listen, I also make these mistakes, right? I started the YouTube channel, I stopped it. I didn't continue doing it. If I did, I probably would have grown already. But again, there is also weighing out situations, things that take a lot of time and things that can bring you more benefit. For me, I started getting initial clients, so I pushed forward with the clients and I put less focus and less priority on, for example, the videos. So summarizing, consistency, knowing your priorities, and being able to adapt and change and tweak little things month to month so that you're always coming up with a slightly new, fresh perspective.
And in your journey, who would you say helped you the most? Who's been your biggest supporter?
My biggest supporter? My parents.
Yeah.
My parents, yeah, for sure. It's, my parents. I mean, you know, they've always had my back. I think very often my parents always wanted me to to be very successful. And at one point, I was supposed to go into medicine at one point, right? Wow. I was supposed to be a doctor. I did maths, physics, biology, chemistry, all those like really hardcore subjects to be able to apply to uni for medicine. And at one point I stopped and I was like, is this like, my sister always told me like, make sure you do something that you like really enjoy. And I was like, do I really want to do this? And I was like, no. Like, and what do I really enjoy? And I was like, well, I like being on the computer, right? At that point, I didn't know what programming was. I like being on the computer, so I went to get like a coding class. It was called like a BTech at college, so past secondary school in the UK. And that kind of guided me in. But I was looking at the code and I was like, oh man, I hate coding.
It's too much.
I was like, this is, oh God, I hate it. But also my parents, they were like, always do what you feel is best, and we're going to kind of support you through it. And then obviously I went into the YouTube stuff and the programming and teaching, and my parents started seeing results. My mom and dad, big fans, always liking the videos, subscribing, leaving me comments. So it's that I think parents were the biggest motivator. My dad was always like with business stuff. Wow. He was always supportive of me doing my own business, and he wanted to help me as much as I could. Oh. My mom isn't super business focused. She's more of the carer. Okay. My dad was the one that's like, I was like, oh, do I do this? And he was like, yeah, do it. Like, take the risk, do it. Mm-hmm. Like, what happens, just do it, try it. Yeah. So that was the one that always kind of pushed me the right direction and kind of made sure that I do well and I succeed, and he tried to help as much as he could.
Yeah, man. And when he passed away, I think it affected you tremendously. Yeah.
Pretty bad. Yeah, I was in a pretty bad space back then.
How did you push through? Because you lost your father. You also had two open heart surgeries. Yeah. Can you tell? Yeah. I really admire that because you pushed. Man, you built this say, little empire step by step. I really admire that, man. How did you push? How did you find the motivation to continue? Was it just the remembrance of your father's words, or?
For sure, I've always wanted to make my dad proud. I know he was always very proud. So I think that really always pushed me through it. It was a very difficult time because suddenly, my dad is there. 4 months later, he passes away because very rapid cancer. All over his body, and he just leaves us. Before that, I was already in hospital because of my heart at one point because things started to get worse. Obviously, the stress, the looking after my father, the constant 4 months of like absolute non-stop helping, hospital visits. At one point he couldn't walk anymore, so picking him up, washing him, and all of the things that come with that. It puts a lot of strain, especially on someone who also has a weakened heart. After my dad passed away, 2 or 3 months later, I was so exhausted and my heart was so weak that I couldn't walk to the bathroom. I couldn't get up. I didn't have any appetite. Then my sister one day, she was like, look, we're going to the hospital. Like, you need to get checked out because this isn't normal. Turned out I have severe heart failure. And turned out that my valve, I got transported into London by ambulance. I stayed there for a week. They did the tests and they took me directly into surgery. When the surgeon opened me up, he took the valve and he touched it, and one of the pieces of the valve that pumps remained on his finger. So it broke off. So it could have broke off inside me, and I would have had a very severe stroke. I probably could have died.
God forbid.
Yeah, so I was very lucky in that sense. I was in the right place at the right time. A little bit too late, I would have said. I probably could have been in the hospital earlier. But thank God I'm here. My dad kind of, thinking about him, pushed me through it. It is what it is. You just have to kind of fight whatever you're faced with. Obviously, losing my father 4 months later, open heart surgery, a lot of recovery. I was kind of out from work as well. Not beneficial at all. Then I started recovering, and I remember I sat with my sister in the car one evening. She just dropped me off. I was feeling a little bit better. This was this was after my father died and before my heart surgery. And I was like, I told my sister, once I get this fixed, I'm gonna feel better, and then I'm gonna be unstoppable, and I'll prove that to you. I said that, and I remember, and she remembers this as well very well. I was like, I'm gonna be unstoppable, because it felt like once you have that problem, you have no energy for anything. So suddenly the thought in your head of getting all that energy back is like the biggest boost you can get. You're like, I'm gonna be like fucking unstoppable. I'm gonna do everything in my power to be successful. And also I know how much my dad wanted me to succeed and wanted me to push forward with the business. And I was like, I'm gonna make him even more proud. My mom is extremely proud, and she always tells me how dad would be proud as well. So that's a really, really amazing boost in confidence, especially for someone like myself. So yeah, I recovered, and then at that point things started changing in the startup I worked for. I got laid off. So they dissolved the whole marketing team. I was part of it, so suddenly I lost the job. Thank God, 2 months before that, I already started implementing on my business. And then, like I said, I was scared, right? And I don't think I would have started the business if they didn't, if I didn't leave the company. But I was forced to. I was there, and one day they just rang me and they were like, look, listen, this is the end. I was a contractor, so it just ended immediately.
There's no...
And there was nothing else. And I was like, well, what do I do now? And for the whole month, I did nothing. I didn't even do much work on the company. I just did nothing. I can't even remember. I just sat at home. I don't know. I don't know. I was on my phone. I don't know what I was doing. I was just surviving, basically. I did absolutely nothing. And then, one day I was like, okay, I need to do something, because, I have a limited amount of savings. I gotta start moving with this. And so I did. And I started slowly as I gained back my strength, being able to do a little bit more. And then at one point I did the launch, I took the risk, and I was like, it is what it's gonna be. I had faith in myself. And yeah, I managed to kind of push through and sustain, right? Sustain the rhythm and experiment and try new things. And I reached out to a few brands. I cold messaged a bunch of different people. And I was lucky enough to interest a few guys that are still with a few companies that are still with me today.
It's really amazing, man. I really admire your story. It's like a superhero. I mean, like you said, after having 2 open heart surgeries, what can stop you? Like God chose you to live after these 2 hardships, and you lost your father.
Listen, at that point, you lose. I'd say 2 of the most important things in your life, which is your parent and your health. You can't lose more than that.
What else?
And you also realize that as soon as you lose your health, you can do nothing. Like once you lose the energy, you can't do anything. Like
even if you have all the money in the world,
it's worth nothing, because you don't want to use it for anything. Because the only thing you think about is wanting to feel better. And I've been there, right? And I think a lot of people don't understand that. It's a crazy thing to experience, because you start to realize, like, even with like health and things like that, later on you're like, what the hell was I doing? Like, why wasn't I looking after myself? It starts to become like the fundamental thing, like a driving factor for you. And then obviously, all the opportunities that you could have taken or you could have lost, you're suddenly like, well, I was at the stage where I pretty much lost everything. So whatever I do now, it won't compare. It's not going to be as bad as that. It's like if you get like a really amazing car and then you downgrade, you feel like you've lost something out. And this is kind of the opposite. Like you've pretty much lost everything. So anything that then happens that's bad, it can't get any worse. So you're like, well, what's the worst that can happen? Well, I'll just fail my business and I'll start again, right? But I won't lose my life and I won't lose my health.
Yeah, and luckily you have your family too.
For sure.
I think that speaks volumes about the importance of family in your life.
So important.
Yeah, because now you see so many people, they like to, they have this individual approach to life. Okay, we live alone. I don't care about my mom. I don't care about this.
No.
But when you're sick, who's going to help you?
It's your family.
Yeah, it's your family. That's all.
It's the people that you can depend on. Yeah, exactly. The people that know are not going to, fuck you over, basically.
Fuck you over, exactly. Yeah, especially the parents, man. It's unconditional love.
Yeah.
Like no one will love you as much as your family for nothing. I just love you because you are.
My mom, she stopped working for when I was in the hospital, and she wanted to make sure that I don't eat hospital meals at hospital, but I get something good homemade. Nice. And she would travel with a big backpack from Eastbourne every day on the train into London to see me for 45 minutes, because I was like, even after my operation, I didn't want people because I was like really tired. But she would come in just to leave the food, and she would go back home, and she would do that for 2-3 weeks straight, every single day.
Wow.
Yeah. That's dedication.
Nobody will know the sacrifice.
Because she can't drive a car,
Yeah.
so she had to public transport Eastbourne to London and back every single day just to see me for 30 minutes, give me a meal, and go. That's all she wanted to do.
Nobody will know the sacrifice that our parents have made till we have our kids of our own.
For sure. For sure.
That's amazing, man. On this notice, I can end this video. Thank you so much. It was amazing, man.